It's on right now, right down the pub to meet Mike Graham at 4.
The Matty Wright Show on TalkRadio.
Do you know, I have such mixed feelings about social media. You know, you come off air sometimes and you get the barrage of your racist so-and-so's abusing you and your guests and you think, I hate this. And then every once in a while, you meet someone, you've got to say, meet them virtually. And in this instance, one of these people I met, a stranger, a random, on social media, is now sat right in front of me. Her name is Olivia Krellin, and she caught my eye with a brilliant idea. You've launched a company called PressPad. Tell us about that, first of all.
So PressPad is
lovely to meet you, by the way. At last, we've been trying to do this for nearly a year now.
I know. Well, so I first saw you talking on Amal Rajan's documentary "How to Break into the Elite."
The glass ceiling.
Exactly.
Yes, the class ceiling.
The class ceiling. And I, for the last 18 months, have been running a social enterprise alongside my job as a BBC staff journalist. What we do is we match media interns and aspiring journalists, freelancers, mainly who come from outside of big cities, London in particular, with established senior journalists who have a spare room for mentorship and hosting. It's kind of an Airbnb for interns within journalism.
Well, that's that way to do it. Airbnb for interns.
Everyone understands that.
Now, graduates, they reckon 1 in 4 graduates does an unpaid internship. Many will do 2 or 3. And the concerns are, as I understand them, that nice middle-class people with wealthy parents, particularly those that may be living in a big city or based in a big city, are in a fantastic position to offer their offspring somewhere to rest, provide them with money to get to and from work, money for food when they're at work. And I know, because when I was working on my TV show, I had a lovely lady who'd come over from Dublin, and she didn't know anyone. And didn't know anyone in the country at all. And then she basically started off staying with a distant relative and then begging, persuading, cajoling to try and get people to put her up on the sofa. And she worked unpaid for months.
It's scandalous. And I think unpaid internships are a massive problem.
Do you approve of them? No, I don't.
Absolutely not. And I think PressPad could in some ways be construed as allowing that kind of situation to continue. That's absolutely not what we're about. But what we're saying is a lot of people have been speaking out against unpaid internships for a while. People are still campaigning for this, and it's going to be a long time coming.
And you're addressing, I mean, to be fair, I don't think you facilitate unpaid internships, but you are providing opportunities for people who might otherwise be ruled out just by virtue of their home background, the wealth of their parents or not.
Exactly. We're plugging the gap, and we also think that what we do will actually be necessary even if unpaid internships are banned, because we have a housing crisis in London. We've all been talking about it a lot in the run-up to, today, election day, and, there are some full-time journalists who work in bars in the evening because they're not paid enough. So there is a problem in particular, I think, in our industry.
I'm thinking about working in bars in the evening just to work, actually.
Working bars and working in bars is different.
Okay.
It's an honourable profession.
Great point. How many people have you had come through PressPad so far?
So it's around 45.
Good for you.
But we did a very small pilot in the beginning, which was deliberately kind of small, just so that we did everything right. Safeguarding is an issue that comes up again and again. I'm sure you're going to ask me about it. So we actually closed applications after the first 20 interns because we knew that we wanted to do this at scale, and that was going to involve some kind of technology, a platform, some kind of marketplace, a bit like Airbnb. Yeah. But even then, we have had people, several people every week getting in touch with us. Oh, I know the applications say they're closed, but can you? So we do. We match people behind the scenes, but we are launching officially on January the 28th.
So you got some backing?
Well, so we're running a crowdfunder at the moment, and we've had incredible support. And also, crowdfunders are not easy things to do. I'm absolutely exhausted right now. It's always on your mind. But the amazing thing above and beyond the money is just the amount of engagement we've had from other journalists saying, you know what, this isn't, this is a real thing, and more people go through it than you think.
I mean, the Airbnb comparison, model. Airbnb, obviously, they're miles ahead in one sense, but they're a commercial enterprise. But you can see that the same key cornerstones of that business are the same ones that you would have too. Do you visit the journalists' homes?
Yes, so we
Now, that's
today.
bad news for Kevin, isn't it? They'll find out about that park bench after all, my friend. Eh?
Well, every single time I go and do a house check, I'm always like, oh goodness, I want to come and stay here with you. We do that.
You must mix in different journalistic circles from my own.
Well, perhaps. But we go in person so far, and in the future, because we believe that this is a solution that needs to be scaled, it's not enough, although it's very laudable to have, the odd kind of traineeship or scholarship here and there. We need this on a massive scale.
Why limit yourself to journalists?
Yeah, that's true. And we have had, within the social entrepreneurship sort of communities, I'm a fellow now of the School of Social Entrepreneurs, and that is something that a lot of people are approaching us and saying, even the banking sector, I've been approached by people saying, we need this for banking too. And
scroungers, haven't they got enough? They can pay their own way. I was thinking about get PR, journalists and PR. Yeah. They make good bedfellows. I mean, quite literally in some instances.
So we do that, and when we start to scale, what we're crowdfunding for at the moment is a coordinator. That, in conjunction with the kind of tech platform, will mean that we will be able to also do home checks via Skype, and then we will do them in person in addition, and you'll be able to see on their profile who has had what sort of check, sort of a kind of verified,
So has this come from a place of anger and a place of hatred that you were forced to do an internship and you lived on someone's floor, or worse still on Kevin's bench? Or what was your motivation? Are you a fan of internships?
So I think internships are important. I come from a really privileged background, hands up. My parents didn't know anybody within journalism. They're both doctors. I was born in Brixton, but my parents moved out to the Midlands when I was about 3 years old. So I did have the problem of geography. But I'm privately educated. I went to Cambridge. I eventually got my master's degree in journalism from Columbia. I belong to all the right kind of clubs, tick all the right kind of boxes. And I think for me, what it was really about when I got my staff job at the BBC, I saw a lot of other people like me who actually did want to...
Can we just, because you skipped over some fairly important details. You're making out that this is just what sort of landed in a silver spoon. I know you went off on South America and you started stringing, which is journalistic terms for freelancing.
Yeah.
So tell us about that then, because this isn't easy, Olivia. This is not easy.
So I worked out that I didn't really know how to get an internship after Cambridge, even though I'd done sort of student journalism. I didn't really know how to approach people. I also didn't know how to afford the time. So I wanted to learn a language. I always loved to kind of travel and been lucky to get grants while at uni to do that. So I booked a one-way ticket to Chile and started working for Reuters. I freelanced for The Guardian, The Economist, BBC. Had an amazing time. And the crucial thing about that was, I partly at the beginning set myself up by teaching English, which meant I had a little bit of, alternative income. But the cost of living there was so much cheaper. And also, here, if there's a big story, there's thousands of journalists to cover it. There, if I can speak English and I have the American market and the British market in terms of the press, there aren't that many people who have those connections or those language skills. So it gave me a bit of an advantage.
And another phrase I hear a lot, both in journalism and also in the black cab trade, is you make your own luck. And, you could have gone and slept on someone's floor and done an internship, earned no money, acting like a slave, probably making coffee. Most of the interns that I've worked with didn't ever seem to do anything that I would consider to be of key relevance to their intended profession. But you got off your backside and you did it your way. I just think it's wonderful that when you returned to the UK, got yourself established as a staff journalist, and then go out there and launch this PressPad. If people want to crowdfund you, and I hope somebody might have a few quid left over after the Christmas shopping, how do they find you?
They go to www.diversifythemedia.com, and you can also go on our Twitter,
Diversifythemedia.com, all power to that.
And the hashtag is on Twitter, and you can see all the stories people are sharing. Please share those, and also tag people in your community, because it's only all together that we can make a difference.
Olivia Crellin, a very impressive young woman you are. All power to you and PressPad. Have a very Merry Christmas. You're listening to Talk Radio.